What's up, world? This is Corey. Stay trapping with Trap Talks, where we discuss the intersection of culture and tech. Today, I got the honor of interviewing. I'm gonna make sure I pronounce it correct. Chisa Pennix-Brown,
That might be me, yes.
LadyBizness,
LadyBizness.
love it. New Yorker.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, well, y'all may know this, but I was born in New York, but I rep North Carolina. That's where I was raised, right? But a little bit about her. She is the founder of Get It Business Membership, chief executive cultivator for Give It to the People, virtual educator and CEO of LadyBizness. And you also do some work with the Small Business Center for Durham Technical Community College.
Well, I do work with the Small Business Center Network, so I do the whole state. So
Okay.
so that's just one of the contracts that we work with. So we do business development, professional development. We curate conferences, and I also like to call myself a New Carolinian because my family is all from here. So even in the summer times, I always came to North Carolina. So my family on my grandfather's side is from Elon, and I went to school at Elon University.
Oh, so the
And
Burlington area.
yes, but it's literally Elon is its own city, like its own town.
I never did that.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to. People do that all the time. Elon is its own town by itself, and then Burlington is next door to it. But yes, and then like my grandmother's side of the family, they're from still Alamance County, but out in Green Level. So when you start to look at that, like I've always been down here my whole entire time, and I've been down here now. If you want to go age wise, probably longer than I lived in New York. But that's what happens when you keep getting older. So yeah, a little more seasoned.
Right.
But yes, but I have never lost my accent, and when I get mad, it gets way heavier. And I can do the Southern Belle thing too. So I like to think it's a good mix of both of those things.
Right. So you said you grew up coming down here.
Yeah, I always came down here every summer.
What were like the culturally when you noticed it? What are like the differences you noticed from being in the South versus like being in New York?
Red dirt. I mean, yeah, I mean, I grew up
But
back in the
clay.
days
That's
when you
clay,
had
yeah.
when you had jellies on and you used to wear the red dirt, and then when you would come in the evening, your feet are the color of the thing because the jellies made an indentation and the dirt was out there. My family had like a small little farm area kind of thing. So when I would come down here, I would shuck peas and stuff. My other grandmother on that side, they like to go fishing. You're going out to the country and going and getting night crawlers and doing that stuff early in the morning. So I think that that was a difference. And it's not like I think a lot of times when people think about New York, they think like, oh, it's no grass. No, we had a house that had 28 rooms in it. So my parents, they owned that house, and then they had tenants. So I had a yard, I had trees, you know what I'm saying, that we used to climb in and everything. So it wasn't like, okay, it's just the concrete jungle kind of thing. But I lived in Mount Vernon. So Mount Vernon historically too for Black people was one of the places that a lot of Black people would go to when they would come to New York. So Nina Simone used to live in Mount Vernon. Like it's a whole bunch of people. Denzel Washington is from Mount Vernon. Albie Shore is from Mount Vernon. So when you start to look at that transition from south to north, a lot of people tended to be in the Mount Vernon area because that was where it could be affluent for, Black people, but it wasn't also like in the city. So the distance from Mount Vernon to being in the city in Manhattan, if you take the train, is 13 minutes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So it's like because I was just going to ask you which borough is that. So that's more of
no, Mount Vernon is not a borough. So like when you have the 5 boroughs, Mount Vernon is right next to the Bronx. So the Bronx is our closest borough.
Down Bronx.
Yeah. So the Bronx is our closest borough. But from my house to the Bronx, I mean, you could walk it in 10 or 15 minutes. So it's not like it's too far because Mount Vernon itself is only 4 square miles. But out of that 4 square miles, when you think about that, it's a lot of important people that have come from that 4 square miles. Dick Clark is from Mount Vernon. When you think about Michael Imperioli is from Mount Vernon. Like it's a whole bunch of people. Who else? Jeff Red, JB Smoove is from Mount Vernon. Like it's a whole bunch of people from Mount Vernon. So that 4 square miles breeds a lot of people who are talented and then, give their talents to the world.
The way you described Mount Vernon, was it like diverse or was it like primarily like Black people?
No, it's diverse. So you would have things would be in sections. So you would have definitely Black people, Latino, but Latino in New York, well, in Mount Vernon was primarily Puerto Rican, Dominican. And then you have Italian and you have Jewish. And so things were like that. But for instance, Mount Vernon only has one high school. So if you would end up all together no matter what. You know what I mean? So you may have different elementary schools and different middle schools, and it was only 2 middle schools. So by the time you got to middle school, you were probably gonna start that mixture of things anyway, and then by the time that you get to high school, then everything's there. But predominantly Black, and then by the time that I started getting older, you had a whole influx of Jamaican, right? And some Trinidadian and Bahamian, so mixed, but everybody was in their sectors
Yeah,
within Mount Vernon, yeah,
yeah.
and a whole bunch of churches. It's always a whole bunch of churches, no matter where you go, right?
What made you wanna make the move down here? Just coming back every summer and then wanting to
No,
be close to your
I didn't care about that at all. Aside from like my grandmother, so my grandmother raised me. She ended up moving down here because of her job. She used to work at the post office, so she retired at the post office. And so then I was left to stay with my grandfather, who was way stricter than she was. So then my thing was like, okay, all right, it's been a good year, so it is. I'm ready to. So it was more so, I guess, in a way, kind of an escapism thing. You know what I'm saying? And plus, that was my person, you know what I mean? So come down here and then he followed, my grandfather followed after that, because he just couldn't be without her but for so long. So, even when it was just us and we moved down here, he would still come back like, quarter well, he was a monthly, like maybe every 2 months or whatever and come back down. But then he would not leave until he retired.
Mm.
So he retired and then he moved down here. And then, and then I've just been here since ever since.
You still have family up there though, right?
Yeah, I do. My brother stays in Harlem, so I still go up there to see my brother, and then other family members and things like that. And then we have family that's between a New York, a Jersey, a Philly, a Delaware, and then just keep on coming down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
trickles. Some in Maryland, some in DC, and some in Virginia, because my husband's family is primarily in Maryland and Virginia. So yeah, it's little trickles.
yeah, yeah. You mentioned Maryland. Every time I think of Maryland,
Uh,
how they say dog, they say dude.
oh yeah,
Well,
they
that's
said
mainly Baltimore, right?
yes, it's
Yes.
a drastically different pronunciation of things, but, like, his family, where they're from because they're from the coast, so they're in Crisfield, which is literally the ocean is right there. They sound more like Gullah Geechee in South Carolina.
Really?
I think it must be something to do with the coast, but I'm just saying the sound that they have that's out there is not like a Baltimore sound. It's definitely more
More like a Geechee.
a little bit more in that sound range.
Yeah, now that got me thinking because the part of the reason why the Geechee people were taken to South Carolina so
Mhm.
they can grow rice. They're really good at growing rice.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
never thought you could grow rice in Maryland.
It's a sound though, so I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
what I'm thinking, like, what
yeah.
could place them there?
Well, I mean, they did a whole lot of, crabbing and things of that nature, you know what I mean? So
Oh,
there are
yeah.
big plants and stuff that are out there, that maybe you don't necessarily think about, like Tyson. Tyson plant is out there. So a lot of your chicken
Chicken,
is coming
okay.
from right out there. But historically, because I always like to look at the historical things of the origins of things too. Chrisfield was the first capital before they did the whole Baltimore thing, but something happened back in those days, and then they moved it more inland. So if they would have kept it there,
Probably
Chrisfield
was a
would be much
storm or
more
something.
affluent
Yeah,
than it is now.
yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, because I was researching and they said that the accent from the Baltimore is more like a Irish or something like
Mm,
Anglo-Saxon type of I can't
interesting.
remember. It was either Irish or Anglo type kinda like
Uh-huh.
Saxon.
I mean, I can see
Yeah,
it. I mean, when you get those things and people come from all over, they adopt different
right,
sounds. So,
right.
I mean, that makes sense. But I'm just wondering, did it have anything to do with the water? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
because of that region and where you would do those things at, that's an interesting thing because it is a drastically different distance,
yeah, yeah,
And back in those days, there was no cars, right?
yeah.
So I don't know.
You had to
But I
walk,
mean, that doesn't also mean
take a
that
ship.
somebody wasn't sold from one place to another.
You know that happened,
And
yeah.
then an accent could be out there. But even out there, there's a high Native American population as far as like what everything is named and, and where a lot of the origins of that come from too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's crazy. So you when we met, you was telling me you was doing about We the People and, like, mental health,
Uh-huh.
right? Why should we take mental health so important? Why do you think it's so important?
So our company is actually called Give It to the People.
Give it to the
And what
people.
we do at Give It to the People, we founded it to have a mental wealth foundation to everything. So for ours, the way that we interpret it is getting your mind right and your money right. Because if
I
one's
like
not
that.
right, then it messes up the other.
Okay.
And so, if you have a great business that's thriving, but you are drowning, you don't get the same reward from that. Right. And so our concept was that you should be able to enjoy the business that you're doing. It shouldn't just be like, I'm doing business just to make money. So I always feel like I can go anywhere and I can make money, but do I like what I'm doing every day? That was one of my main issues. And just making business in general fun. So I teach for a number of small business centers throughout the state, colleges, universities, cities and counties and things of that nature. And in that, I think sometimes people leave their corporate job and they still bring that corporate mentality with them. And in that, you lose immediately, you lose the security that you did have from that corporate job. So you don't have those benefits anymore. PTO, you can have PTO every day if you want to, but guess what? If you don't make some money, you just out, right? And so for me, it was just like that transition that people needed to make. So the people that have been in business for a while, you want them to be able to sustain. So this time that we're in now, we can always say, no matter what year it is, it's an unprecedented time. But this right here, right now, it's all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
craziness
We
is
never
going on.
experienced.
We've never experienced anything like this where it is complete, blatant, forceful corruption of things that you can see. So, I mean, has there always been corruption in things? Of course, right? Because when you put money and power together, then yes, but it's like the levels now are drastic. And I mean, it's affecting everybody. So
Yeah.
my goal is always to keep people in business, but to also let them understand that the way that you're doing things may need to change based on, just what the environment is going to take. And that may mean that the clientele is different. But I always believe somebody has money. It's somebody is always out here with money. We just have to find the person that has your money. And so for us, it was really looking at the fact of making people understand that you might be asking the wrong person for the thing that you need.
Right.
And so I wanted to be able to minimize that barrier because what I realized a long time ago, and I try to tell people, it is the relationships that you build with people. And if I already have a relationship and you end up joining our membership, then that gives me the opportunity to be able to say, well, our member needs such and such, or do you know this person and connect them to that person? Oftentimes, that's what a person is missing. They need that one connection, that one person that knew such and such, that one event, that thing. And I'm not saying that that's going to be like, oh, it's a magic thing. Everybody makes $1 million. But I am saying that I need you to stay in business, but I want you to like the business that you stay in. And I think that just taking that holistic approach to it is different because oftentimes the people that are in charge of these business organizations, they don't even have businesses.
Documents in, decisions out. Go to doculingo.com/Trap Talks 2040 to get your 14-day free trial. And don't forget to sign up for our Patreon page. We out.
Themselves. So their business is to help you stay in business, but they don't have a business. Like it's a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand that even in our cities and our counties and things like that, a lot of the people that are in there, they have a job. That's that 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or whatever. But when they go home, they can just turn it off. You can't turn it off if you still need to keep making money and you're an entrepreneur, you're a full-time business owner. How can we make that a little bit easier for people to connect, to be able to get the resources, to know about the classes, and also to hopefully be cyclical where they work within the constraints of the membership to also spend money with each other. And I can tell you that that's been able to happen.
As you were talking, I was just the phrase hit my mind. Your network is your network.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a very true thing. And so I could say that every year I set an intention where I have a word of the year. This year, the word is influence. And so this year I've been focusing on not about who I know, but who knows me. And that means that I need to be in certain rooms that I haven't been in. And I need to have those one-on-one conversations. And I need to, still host the things that we do, but make sure that I always make sure that the right people are in the room. You know what I mean? So, if you even say, my question to you would be, well, when you came to the networking event that we did, that was your first time coming to an event that we
Yeah.
did, right?
Ever. Yeah.
So then what was your experience there from when you walked in the door to when you left?
For me, I love going to events
Mhm,
or in spaces
mhm,
where I see a lot of people who look like me. It just makes it easier to open up. Some people call it code switching, but it's like I can be more authentically myself.
mhm,
And that was a cool thing. Like I felt like the people there I wouldn't have met And it was one lady that I can't think of her name. She's building a fashion app.
Mhm.
She's in Zebulon. Yeah, she's in Zebulon.
Mhm.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
I do
Yeah.
know you're talking about.
Yeah. And seen her there.
Mhm.
And I had just met her the day before. And then I met Taylor,
Uh-huh.
Taylor Rice. I don't know if
Okay.
you remember Taylor Rice.
Which one? What did Taylor do?
Oculingo.
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually our
Yeah.
sponsor now.
Okay.
That was my first time meeting him there. And
Okay.
ended up interviewing him for my podcast.
Okay.
So for me, and I also like events that are very intimate, where it's not crowded.
Mhm.
And so I felt like you all did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Because it was like real conversations happening.
And that's
There
what was
was
supposed to
many
happen.
conversations, A
Mhm.
lot of times, like the large events are just,
You don't get the
you
opportunity
don't get
to
the
do that.
opportunity. Yeah.
Well, one thing that we always do when we do our networking events is we don't do name tags.
I
And
like that. I
I
like that.
purposely don't do that because can I talk to you and find out what your name is?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you look like you're interested. Hey, what do you do? Now, I think it's different from my perspective because since I'm at the door greeting people, my role is to literally curate that and facilitate what happens at the thing. I don't tell you well, sometimes I do tell people who to talk to, but my thing is to find out who you are, what you do, what made you come out, hopefully, and then connect that to somebody else in the room that based on what you told me makes sense, right? And so somebody was saying to me, like, how do you remember all these people? And I'm just like, because I mean, I just have that type of memory,
Remember.
but
Yeah.
also I've gone to events where people have introduced me to people and I'm like, this person has nothing to do with what I do.
Yeah.
Why did you introduce me to this person? Not to say that like the person wasn't valuable, but not to me because now I'm listening to you talk for 10 or 20 minutes about something that I don't care anything about. And it's not going to help me at all. So when you come to one of our thing is to really make sure that there's the right people in the room. So you telling me that gives me feedback that says, hey, well, you came to that, but you got a sponsor out of that, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But you only got a sponsor out of that because you moved on that opportunity. So
Right.
how many other people talked to Taylor, right? And didn't, and I'm not saying that he was going to sponsor everybody's thing, but
Yeah.
didn't take that next step to say, okay, well, I want to do XYZ. And it could be just because of their business, the nature of what they do, our opportunity then is to take that and see what we can do and what we can build on from then. And so that opportunity, when you said you had a podcast, I'm like, okay, well, I love to come on the podcast. And then here we are on the podcast,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like
Yeah.
you have to take those opportunities, but we build the space for you. And so one of the things that we specialize in is what we call micro gatherings, 50 or less people.
I like that.
Because if you have too many people, like you said, you don't get the chance to really go around and talk to everybody. And I meant to, oh, man, and it's like, now it's less people. So let me find a little niche where I fit in here
Right.
and talk to you and talk about what I do. And our conversation is different because I don't feel as rushed because I can get to 2, 3, 4, 5 groups in that night if I choose to. And it makes it easier, I think, to network.
Oh, for sure, for
Mhm.
sure. And I think back when I was younger, like I was here 10 years ago,
Mhm.
started like my career here.
Mm.
I would go to networking events. I'm trying to meet everybody in the room. And
Mhm.
then I realized I'm like, you know what? Let me just um, try to meet at the most 5. Let me
Mhm.
have at the most 5 detailed conversations
Mhm.
with people
Mhm.
because it's about depth, relationship you can
Mhm.
create, right?
Mm.
Yeah, your event was cool. And then obviously you with your hair, I was like,
Which I
like,
have it underneath I mean,
yeah,
it's still colorful and stuff
it's
up
still
underneath it.
colorful, but I'm like,
Mhm.
that just let me know, like, you uniquely you,
Mhm.
you know? And that was, like, refreshing,
That's good. I
very
mean,
refreshing.
I think a lot of people want to imitate what somebody else has already done. So if I wanted to imitate anything, it would be the success or the dollars, not necessarily how you did it. You know what I mean? So, but and I had this comment that I give people examples. I like to do that because I think it makes more sense to people. So if we all have a recipe and we have what you're supposed to put in there, it's still not gonna come out the same. You know what I mean? And that could be technique, but let's just even look at it simple like this. So,
I'm
um
listening
oh
crack
no,
my
you're
water.
good, you're good, you're good. So if I'm doing the recipe, but I have an electric stove and you have a gas stove, our recipes are not necessarily gonna come out the same
Mhm.
because yours is gonna cook faster because you got that fire
Right.
to it, right? And I've got the electricity. Mine's gonna be a little bit different.
Mm.
You know, so you kind of look at those things, right? But then I gave an example too of like, so I have an air fryer at home. It's a nice little square thing, but in the air fryer, I can air fry, I can bake, I can broil, you know what I'm saying? I can do all of those things. I can do a reheat. And if I put the thing in there at the same amount of degrees, but I change the thing and I tell it something to do differently, my food's gonna come out totally differently. Same recipe,
Yeah.
and I can make it 4 or 5 different ways in the same thing. It's gonna be something different. And I think sometimes people keep trying to imitate what somebody else does. And I've seen a lot of things fail because that wasn't your vision. That wasn't what you were supposed to be doing.
Right.
But you try to copy somebody else's
Right.
thing. And I've seen people copy stuff and make it better than the original person made it. So
Yeah.
it's the person. It's not just the event or, the idea. It's that work ethic that the person puts behind it.
Right. Right. And in this book, it's called Contagious,
Mhm.
and he talks about how to create effective like marketing campaigns.
Mhm.
And then I think in the preface he says, like something similar to what you just talked about, where not all great marketing plans are doing this exact same thing. And
Mhm.
you don't need all of the quote unquote full recipe. Some marketing plans are doing like 5 things well. Some marketing plans are doing like 10 things well.
Mhm.
But what works is different for everybody, the
Mhm.
scenario, the environment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
it does make a difference, and so I think that oftentimes, to me, the biggest thing, it's not just money, because of course everybody can say money, but how you market it and the people that you're marketing to make a big difference. When when we're marketing, make sure that visually, hopefully, that first thing is that it's stimulating and it's something that you want to click on, because you can scroll past a whole bunch of things, but
right,
hopefully it's the color or the people that are on it or something. Because if I only had that little bit of time to capture your attention, a couple of seconds,
right,
I want you to stop. I need
right,
you to stop on the scroll.
right.
And I need you to pay attention to it. And so we do a mix with the things that we do, but I think that specifically the event you came to, everything that we did was intentional. It was doing Raleigh Durham startup during startup week,
Smart.
but
Yeah. I
everything
thought y'all
else,
were y'all part of Startup Week?
yeah, we wanted the partners.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so we wanted the partners. We did our event that Wednesday night, which we did a specific Black Biz networking because we do a quarterly networking event anyway.
Yeah.
So we just moved our event, which would have been the week before, to coordinate with this the week of Raleigh Durham Startup Week. But all of Raleigh Durham Startup Week stuff is blue, and our stuff was yellow. So when people scrolled through, it was like an immediate difference in, okay, well, this is the partner. Now we could have done our stuff in the same blue that everybody else did, but it was like
Yeah.
we wanted it to specifically stand out
Yeah.
amongst everything else that was there. And people like, oh, I didn't even, I saw that, and that was the one that popped out to me. Yeah, because it didn't look like everything else,
Right.
right? And then also taking into consideration that we weren't the only thing happening during that time, but
Mhm.
we also knew the audience that we wanted to attract, right? Those things do make a difference, and
Yeah.
just knowing your audience and what they want and providing that for them.
Yeah. It's
Mm.
you just made me think of it's called I forgot the word, but it's a study of color.
Mhm.
You know
Color
what I'm
theory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like yellow is slow down,
Mhm.
like pay attention.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that was very intentional choosing
Intentional.
yellow.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
our main brand color is yellow. So our main brand, well, it started out as the yellow, so it has a specific color that we use, and then we use another color that I like to call chili pepper red. So we use both of those colors
Okay.
interchangeably, and then we use like a it's kinda like I like to call it like an electric blue, and then we use like a teal. Those are the main 4 colors that we use. But even when you talk about the color theory and their psychology, a lot of food restaurants use red or a color that's close to red. You know what I
Right.
mean? So in doing that, it kind of triggers for you to pay attention to it, right? But we also use that red, and most events that we have, there is a food component to it also, because we believe in, if you're going to have that mental wealth, that we're going to nourish your
Yeah.
mind. That's
Yeah.
one of the things where if I could, I mean, my husband, he told me I need to cut back on our budget because I'm out of control, but I'm really not, because I don't like going to stuff and there's no food. Like that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
The only reason we didn't do food at that event that you were at is because the goal was, if people were going to spend that evening, that they would spend with a small business. And so they could have ordered from Luna across and people would have brought the food. Now, I don't know if anybody did that because it didn't look like they did, but the goal was for us to spend with businesses that were downtown. So people bought drinks inside of Primrose, but I don't think anybody actually bought food, you know? And it was a
Mhm.
2-hour event, and maybe people weren't hungry. I don't know what was going on with
Yeah.
people, but that's intentional because our bigger events, or are even bigger or smaller, we always have food at our events, and that's something that we're known for too. So people are like, listen, no matter what, oh, I know the food's gonna be good. Like I know it's gonna be
Yeah,
such and
that's
such.
important from
Oh, I know the
the
music's
brand.
gonna be good. I know that because that's what we do. We do a playlist for our events. There are things that we do that are intentionally us because I want you to feel like you're comfortable and family when you come in the room. Even if you came by yourself, you should still feel good
Yeah,
when
and
you
I can
leave, and you should feel good, and you should hopefully have a good experience. You shouldn't feel like I just went in there and nobody spoke to me, and I didn't get greeted at the door. That type of stuff burns me up. You know, like if when you get to the door, a person's nasty, you've already messed up my experience before I
right,
could get in.
right.
Why do you have a bad attitude at the door?
Yeah.
Like you that is the thing that I've seen and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, so as soon as I get in, you piss me off. Now I need to figure out, okay, let me maybe it was just that one person, but
Right,
whoever's decision it was to put that person at the door, you made a poor decision.
right.
Because it starts from, well, to me, it starts before you even get there. What's the communication? Where is it? What's the address? What's the directions? What's the parking? All of those things that people need to know. And then, once they get there, how do they feel when they get there? And that all of that's important to me anyway.
Yeah,
I know it's not to everybody because I've seen some stuff where it's not.
yeah, yeah. So when you're putting the event together, right?
Hmm.
Let's say, you know, I'm new at doing events and I'm
Hmm.
approaching you for advice.
Hmm.
What are like the top things you would advise me on? Like, hey, you want to do an event?
Hmm.
These are some things you should be mindful of.
The first thing I would say is pay that consultation fee, because that's what you're asking for, right? That's the first thing I'm gonna say is let me go ahead and send you this link so you can pay this consultation fee. That's definitely the first thing. But outside of that, the biggest thing that I tell people is that they have to be cognizant of time. People always feel like they have more time than they have. Time goes so fast. And like I had a lady, um, I knew about this event. It's May now. In February that somebody asked me about doing. And I was like, okay, well, send me the information. I still don't have the information. Let's just be clear. And it's May. And then I said, well, look, I followed up with somebody. I said, well, this person, I haven't received anything from it. Like I have the date saved on my calendar, but let me know if I need to let that date go because, whatever. So the lady responds back and she says, oh, well, I'm on vacation right now. I'm going to get to that at the end of the month. Now, their event is in September. So
Mhm.
the end of the month puts you technically at June. So you got June, July, August, September, but theirs is like second week of September. So my biggest thing that I always do is everything needs to have at least a 90-day out when it comes to something, especially something that's going to be big. So it would be really look at your time. And when you look at the time, you need to look at the location and you need to look at what's happening in whatever region.
Right.
So that, I mean, I would tell anybody for free because anything can go wrong. So what are the things that you need to do to prepare in that time frame? And it's not just about you preparing, it's also about the audience. You want me to spend money to come there? I need you to make me feel like I want to spend money to come there.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing because I mean, I'm hoping that we're not just doing this just to do it for free.
Right.
And even if you are doing it for free, people still have other choices that they could make
Yeah.
to not come to your thing.
Right.
So if we're doing this for business and we don't have a sponsor, and even if we do have a sponsor, we can still charge, I mean, unless it's the type of thing where you were getting paid. And so then I wouldn't be worried about charging.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I still need people there. Right. And
Right.
so time is the biggest thing for anybody. And people just take it for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've done events and it takes a lot of planning.
Hmm.
Takes a lot of planning.
Hmm.
Um, and what I found, looking at it like in third person, as a person who attends events, the
Hmm.
rarer the event, the more likely I'm to show up.
Hmm.
So it's like I would, one of my friends in Houston, and we're doing events every month. I said, man, I need to switch to doing it once a quarter
Hmm.
because everybody's getting. Actually, no, they was doing it every Friday. And I'm like, you're
Oh,
not making it.
weekly.
I'm like, you're not making it exclusive.
Hmm.
Feel exclusive because it's like, oh, I can't make it. They're doing it next Friday. Next Friday comes. Oh, I'm not going. I can go to the next one.
Hmm.
And so I think now they moved to doing it quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
and
I
that's
love
why
more than
that's
that.
why we do our network events quarterly because
Mhm.
I mean, I think that there are enough things that happen every month. There's probably a bunch of stuff that happens every week, and when you do it every week thing, to your point, you end up seeing the same people
Yeah,
because they get
yeah,
comfortable and come into a thing, and then they kind of feel like they have ownership in something. When you do things monthly, you gear up and you gear down and you gear up and you gear down. You know what I mean? So I think if you're going to do that, then it needs to be a draw on a monthly basis, and so since with ours, we usually have, this one was unique because it was Raleigh Durham Startup Week, but we usually have at least one, either it's not necessarily a speaker. We did a speaker one time, or we're announcing something, or no matter what, we're still giving you information, but we have it where it's intentional for you to be able to talk to people. So we create an environment where that's the case. And it's not just about, hey, I'm Chisa, I do such and such. No, we give you a reason to talk to people outside of just what you do. Because I'm a big believer that you're human first. And your
Thanks.
business is because that's the thing that's going to make you money. What if, and I just did a webinar yesterday, and so there was a lady on the webinar who I met in Winston, and she sells promotional items, right?
Yeah.
And she's a little bit older, probably 60s, somewhere in there. And she's been doing business for a long time. So, I asked them, I said, okay, so what do you have that I would want? So she's like, oh, well, our company does this and we do promotional products and everything. And this is not a knock. This is just her perspective on things, right? So I said to her, I said, so what if I don't need that? And she says, well, everybody needs promotional products. I said, so hold up, let me let you understand. What if I have a company that sells promotional products? I don't need yours. Or what if I already have a company that I'm working with? I don't need yours. So what do you have outside of the thing that you're offering for your business that might make me want to pay attention to something like that? And then she's like, oh, okay. Because just because you feel like everybody needs something, there are plenty of people that do their business every day and don't buy any promotional products, right? It doesn't mean that it's a bad or good. It just means that maybe they just don't need it. And or maybe they just don't need yours.
Right.
So when you look at that, then you have to say, well, I'm still a person. So outside of what I do for business, what else is interesting about me? And there's so many people that get wrapped up into their business that they can't figure out who they are without their business. You did have a life before you started this business.
Yeah.
And it's like they just totally forget it because they get so wrapped up into it. And that's why the mental wealth makes a difference, because before this business, I'm Chisa, but I'm also Montro's wife. And that to me is one of the most important things outside of anything else. You know what I'm saying? And so there's nothing that comes before that. The business, that's the baby of us, right? So to speak. But, we should have something more to talk about than just that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't do it.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
wrapped up.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
That's it.
There was something you said. I had a thought too. Hold on, let me. What? Oh yeah, yeah. This is what I was gonna say. So I've been in sales pretty much most of my life, and
Okay.
what I found, particularly now, the type of sales that I do now, for enterprise sales, is that oftentimes they're not buying from you because of the product service you offer.
Hmm.
It's more about the strategy, because everybody needs help with refining their strategy. So
Okay.
when you was telling me about the promotional,
Uh-huh.
and she said, everybody needs promotion products,
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs strategy. Because what I found, if you can give someone a good strategy and show them you understand their business and
Hmm.
what drives it,
Hmm.
they will figure out a way to buy your product, especially if you can make it relatable.
I can agree with that. I can
So
agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's a lot of people that do things very willy nilly. And
Oh yeah.
um this was a low cost business, so I just started it. Or I was good at making such and such, and so I just started it. Or I just wanted to be in business because I wanted to look away, so I just started it. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't keep you in business. That doesn't sustain you. Like
Mhm.
I genuinely love teaching people things. And, it's some things that I kind of stepped away from, because I stepped away from doing individual counseling or coaching, if you want to, because I did so much during COVID that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's a
Mhm.
lot to take on people's energy
Mhm.
in relation to their business, especially if they're not happy with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's also a lot to tell a person exactly what to do to be successful, and they don't want to listen and they don't execute. You know what I mean? And so when I have those types of people, then it's just like, now I still got paid, but that does not bring me joy. But then I started doing a little bit more counseling in the last month with a project that I'm working with, or actually, no, I guess since January. Two different projects, two different contracts. And working with people individually, I've gotten more of a renewed sense of purpose for that. Because sometimes it's just that they need to tweak something. And once they tweak it, wow, now it's all of a sudden there. And sometimes when you're in it, you can't see it. You know what I mean? So I'll use the example of if I'm a lion, lion, tiger, bear, my view is down here and I'm looking down. But if I'm a giraffe, I'm all the way up here, and now I can see so much more. You know what I'm saying? My radius is different. What's on the ground to me is drastically different
Right.
than what's on the ground to you, where you're seeing a much more, granular level than I'm looking at. And sometimes they're so far down there, they're trying to be a lion, a tiger, and a bear. And it's like you have to get up there and be that giraffe and look at it from a different perspective. Because if you weren't in the business, what would you do differently? If you stopped doing the business, what would you do differently? If now you know what you know now that you've been in it for so long, what would you change? Like there would be things, but if you're in it, you're like, I'm trying to just make it through every day. And they need to understand that you have to work on the business as much as you have to work in it. And a lot of times they can't make that decision for themselves. They know they need something, but they can't figure out what it is. And then once you help them figure it out, then it's like, oh wow. And so this is why part of the reason I think I probably stopped doing it as much too is because you had a lot of people that are like all of a sudden starting businesses as coaches. How are you really coaching me and you've never had a business? Like I'm still baffled by that. Now, if you're coaching me on a specific skill set that you have already acquired, but there are people coaching people on just starting businesses that have just started their business. So you haven't even gone through ups and downs and ins and all of the rest of that. And that type of stuff bothers me. So that's why certain monikers of coaches and counseling and stuff, I don't particularly care for, but it doesn't mean that I'm still not good at being able to do that for other people. And so, I think I've just gotten this year a renewed sense because I COVID kind of burnt me out from doing that.
Mm.
And then COVID was different too because everybody's in the house. They're trying to figure it out. Some of the businesses, it's nothing I can really do for them because of the nature of their business. Like they physically cannot go
Yeah.
to wherever they were at. So then we have to figure out another plan for you. And you have to, first of all, stop grieving over what you lost and then decide you want to do this new plan. So it was just too much energy. And I think that's probably why I was like, no, 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 no. But I've taken on some nice new clients this year that I like and that listen and that do the things. And I'm like, yes, those are my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the phrase "you should fire customers"? You should when they're our clients. How do you feel about that phrase?
Um, I do it, so I feel great about it. But I also think before I would fire them, I fire myself. I fire myself multiple times, and then I rehire myself always because I'm still a great employee of me. But
Yeah.
I think that every customer is not meant to keep staying around forever,
Mm.
and so like every time that I let go of somebody, a bigger opportunity comes along.
Yeah.
And I'm just this is for me, I can't speak for anybody else. I've never had anybody that's been well, that's not true. I don't wanna say that's been too out of control because if I feel like you get to that point, then we stop business altogether. So I have had some people that's been the case, but most of the time, whenever I got rid of a client, it was because I was doing more than I was getting paid for. That's not your fault. So if you're an overachiever and you wanna deliver more than is expected or is even required, then it's like, "Nah, I'm doing too much." And what happens is when you start doing a little bit too much and they're not paying any extra, then they expect that they're gonna keep getting that
Getting
level of
that.
service, but it's not commensurate with the rate of pay. And so then you either have the choice of, "I'm gonna raise prices," and either they're gonna stay or they're gonna go, or you just make a decision to leave. So every time that I've made a decision to leave a client behind and fire a client, it's always been something that's been bigger and better to replace that money. So
Yeah.
I think it can be a good thing. But again, that goes back to your phrasing of strategy. You have to have a strategy in place because I'm not about to just stop making money over here and just hope something's going to come along. No, I'm
Right.
putting in place the next thing so that this way, as soon as I finish up with you, it lifts a weight off of you.
Mm.
And then you can move on to the next thing with ease and also make more money.
Yeah. Throughout my career, I've had clients where their expectations didn't match their budget.
Hmm.
Um, or I've had clients where it's clear they need help, but their ego is in the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm doing what we call discovery, trying to
Hmm.
figure out the best angle to help them. And there's been times when I'm like, hey, it looks like you got it all figured out. And I actually I was at a company and I had a BDR, SDR who set my appointments. Her eyes went like that.
Oh, when you said,
Yeah. I'm like, I think you're good. I don't think you need us. So then he started pedaling and started trying to sell himself on our solution.
did you keep him or did you
Nah,
fire him?
nah, he left.
Okay.
He,
Because
yeah.
he had it all up, like you said?
He needed our service, but his budget didn't match his expectations.
Oh, okay.
And he was stuck in his ego, which was kind of weird. It's like you called us to meet, but then you saying that you're basically all good. Then what's the point of us talking?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people will waste your time, but I try to always look at what role did I play in whatever the
Yeah,
situation
yeah,
is. And so I'm big on self-efficacy and going back to saying, you know what? If I wouldn't have did this, this would have never went to that point. I let that such and such. I'm the one who suggested XYZ. I'm the one who did a little extra razzle dazzle. That's not your fault that I was razzly dazzly. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
I
right.
gotta bring the razzle and the dazzle back in. You know, we have to decrease those razzle levels.
Yeah,
It's one of those things where everybody's not gonna do that because sometimes people just give you exactly what you were supposed to get and then they just go on. But when you're hands-on and you see the potential and you want a client to do more, sometimes you do more, and then it doesn't match up, and so that's most of the time, and I'm just like, "Okay, so you don't even care, or you're not respecting, or now you expect that this is but we were giving you A level when you really only paid for C, and, that was because we're just trying to be our best, and sometimes you don't really need to be your best." Like, my A is nowhere near anybody else's. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just saying that I've worked in this long enough to know that I had to say this to a friend of mine the other day who works in federal government stuff. And I said, I want to ask you a question. He's like, what? And I said, is following up considered Black excellence now? He just bust out laughing. And I'm like, because sending an email, sending a text message, doing the meeting, actually making the time to be there, it's like people are saying, "Oh my god, you're just so on top of things." What did I tell you I was gonna do?
yeah. The bar is so low
Like,
though.
y'all don't because so many people don't
Don't
do
do it.
that.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, so now that's excellence is actually doing what you say you're gonna do? Like, I'm not understanding that those things don't compute to me, but guess what? If that's what it is, then we'll just take that, and
Different
I'm just gonna
times,
be
yeah.
Black excellence because I'm gonna follow up. You know?
Different times.
Simple things, like and that's why I'm like, I don't it's so much technology that is not difficult, you know? And so like, I had a meeting today and I told the lady, I said, listen, because she sent me a message yesterday to say, what time was our meeting today? And I was like, well, our meeting's at 10:30. And I said, but what I need you to do, because I had set the meetings up while we were in the last meeting, I said, I need you to accept the invitation. Because when you did not do that, when I sat there in that meeting and put it together,
Yeah.
then you don't get the reminders because you didn't accept the
Yeah,
invitation.
accept it.
So my reminders are going to go out a week before, a day before, however many hours before, and however many minutes before. There's no reason you should miss a meeting. So when you sent me that message, it's because you didn't accept the meeting. And so, but this is the thing why I think sometimes you have to train people
Yeah.
how to respond to things. And so I said, so when I send that, I need you to click yes, you're coming. So it shows up on your calendar and my calendar.
Yeah.
And then you get the reminders because I'm not going to be the person I'm going to follow up, but I'm just not going to manually do that. Like
Right.
that's not something for me that I need to manually do. So
Right.
if when I have it set that I know you're going to get reminders and you can't forget, then okay.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to
Yeah.
forget something,
Yeah.
you know? Oh man, I plan on doing stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not making it now. I mean, you didn't send the calendar invite.
Right.
So that's why I tell people when they talk to me, you want me to send an invite or you going to send an invite? Oh, I'm gonna send an invite. Okay, I need to send an invite right now.
Yeah.
Because once we get off the phone or once we get off this
Once you
meeting,
get
it's in the calendar, I see it.
yeah.
And then I can make adjustments. But if it's not in the calendar, it's not in the calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one thing I used to do too, and still do, I'll send them the invite and I
Mhm.
say, let me know when you hit yes.
Yeah.
As if I don't get alerted when they hit yes.
Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But I'm
Yeah,
just like, okay,
yeah,
did it come through? All right, click the yes. Like,
yep,
because I've learned that let me just wait. Like, I know I did it while we were in the meeting. I'm telling you, I'm setting it up. I'm looking at these things. So we're going to meet on these dates and these times. And let's keep the consistency there because this works for you and this works for me, but you need to click yes. And I mean, that's a simple thing. It's not a chastising a person, but it is saying, had you done that, you wouldn't have needed to send me a meeting, thing because it would have sent you a reminder, you know what I'm saying, in advance. And that's just little stuff. But again, time,
mm,
time. It goes back to time. And and you don't want to be stressed out. So that's why we have those technological opportunities to remind ourselves and to make sure we're where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there.
right, right. There's something you said earlier, about enjoying your business. Eh, how do you how do you, 'cause a lot of times what's gonna make you money isn't necessarily gonna fulfill you spiritually or just fulfill
Mhm.
you, right? So how does a person find that perfect balance? Is it trying to combine their hobby with starting a business, or is it focusing on their hobbies and then having the business separate? Like, what have you seen work for a lot of clients? So that seems to be really big for you. Yeah.
Do a different approach to that because
Okay.
I mean I like the question, but if if I were just starting, right, I want to build a business that is going to reflect the life that I want to have. That's
Mhm.
the difference. So I don't go for stuff that's just like money. So for me, I have boundaries. Monday is Love Monday. I don't talk to anybody, anything. Once my husband gets home, we have discussed that that's Love Monday. We are not doing any business. And so everybody knows now it's Love Monday. And people are like, oh, let me put Love Monday in my life. Put a Love Monday in your life. It might not be Monday because that might not work for you. But he instituted that when we first moved up here because he was like, the weekend just goes too fast. So if you stop working, because I will keep working, and you know that, and it was hard at first. Like that first month, it was hard to really stop working because I'm like, okay, he gets off at 4:30. He works right down the street. You're home at the latest by 4:45. Building your day to stop, you know?
Yeah, especially on Monday. Like,
Yeah, it's
get it
like
in.
it was so hard at first. It's not hard at all now. You know what I mean? Because I'm just
And
like
how long have you been doing that?
3 years now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm like, you know it's
It's
Love
pretty
Monday,
good.
y'all.
Yeah, must.
Everybody knows don't call. Everybody tries to call. When I'm telling you, you will see the calls come through. They try to call because they know that I'm not going to answer the phone. Right? Unless it's an emergency, it's no need for you to call me. And unless we have an event the next day and I'm doing the event for you and you're paying me, that'd be the only reason for you to be calling me after that time frame. But that's not going to work for everybody, right? But I do think that you should build time in for yourself to not do some work at some point in time in any business that's there. But I see people that go into these things and then now they're working 90 hours and it's like, where's you time at? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, if you get sick, if you just don't feel like it, like you need to have that built in.
Yeah,
And I don't care if that's an hour, 2 hours, if that's a walk, if that's a massage, if that's like I went to the movies last week by myself because I wanted to see Devil Wears Prada. I made sure that all of my stuff was done, and I was like, I'm going to go to this 11 something show so that this way I can still be back and I can still do work after when I get
right,
home.
right,
So I went to the first show that I could go to, but that wasn't even like a Love Monday day. That was just a day that I wanted to go, and I felt like I wanted to do that day. So I think if you can do that, and that means that your business has to make a certain amount of money. You need to see how many customers you need. You need to see what days you want to work. And I don't think for me, I didn't go into this to try to work as hard as I could. Doesn't mean that I don't work hard. It just means that stressing myself out is not a part of that business plan. So you need money. What's that thing gonna be? And my thing is, hopefully, you do love what the thing is, right? So even if it was like, let's say I'm pressure washing houses. How many houses do I need to pressure wash? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that I can go and I can just chill out and not do that.
yeah,
And if that's the case of, all right, well, maybe I need to hire a team. And then I don't have to do as much, but then I can have XYZ. So for me, I look at more so the phrase of scaling. It's only but so many ways you can scale when it's
right.
just you. Well, either you have to raise your prices or you need to hire somebody
Automate stuff. Yeah,
or automate, right? But at the same time, something still needs to be selling no matter what. So my thing was, well, raise prices. You know what I'm saying? So instead of me, my example for this is like, when I teach one of my finance type classes, okay, so if we had this business and let's say we want to make $10,000 a month, I'll give them 10 different ways to make $10,000 a month, depending on whatever their thing is, right? So I give them an example, and it's like, but this way you need this many customers, this way you need that much.
Right.
But if I
Based on
only
the
if I
price
only
of it.
wanted to do, let's just say, 3 customers at $3,333 a month, then I need 3 people to pay me to do that. But then how many hours am I spending with those 3 people? And I just balance it out like that. So once I think people can see you need that number and you work your life around it. Like I didn't want to have to be struggling to do business, but I do know that with the way that we do things now, because the contracts are larger, it takes more effort to build that relationship to get that than it did if I was going to get some smaller things. And it takes more smaller things to get that big thing, but at the same time, I've been reminded for sure this year, you still need that baseline of what you can do. And then you can go and frolic and do whatever else you want to do. But people just need to think about hopefully that it can mesh. Hopefully what you do does make you, money and you like it. Because why did you start in the first place? Like that's the thing. So I would hope that you can make it work like that. So I think a lot of times, like let's say a person that's let's say they're a baker and they like baking, they like cookies, they like cakes, right? But if you're just making just cookies and you could make a big cake and that cake took you almost the same amount of time as the cookies, but you need to sell so many cookies
Cookies.
to make the cost of that cake. I'm gonna need you to make some more cakes. You know what I'm saying? Cookies might be the passion unless, if your business is just cookies. But if you bake multiple things and that one cake can bring you $100 and you got to sell, let's just say 10 cookies, because now we got some expensive $10 cookies, right? You got to sell 10 cookies before we could get to that. I mean, I don't think the average person is going into the bake shop saying, let me get 10 cookies at $100. But they'll pay that $100 for that cake.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because when I go to a place in Greensboro, Maxi B's, and because there's no Maxi B's up here, okay? So a piece of cake is like maybe $6, $7, $8. So depending on, and I'm always gonna get 4 slices of cake, okay? I'm gonna get because I'm gonna tell you why, 'cause they got so many flavors.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get hummingbird for me. He likes German chocolate,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna try 2 new different flavors, right?
Yeah.
But then we know if we like something. So when I'm getting 4 pieces of cake, I'm already at $30, $40 for cake. You know what I'm saying? Basic, and then I get a cookie too. Because so I get this, they have an aggression cookie. So I need one cookie to
What's an aggression cookie?
oh my God, it's such a good cookie. I don't even know. It's all kinds of wonderfulness and it's cinnamon and all kinds of stuff in it.
Okay.
But I get the aggression cookie because I need a snack from Greensboro to Durham. So I'm gonna eat a cookie on the way home. But those 4 pieces of the cake are gonna last me the rest of the week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because nobody's eating the whole, every day. So it might take 2 days to eat one slice, and another 2 days. It might take almost 2 weeks, but that piece of cake is still gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to spend that $40, $50 on 4 slices of cake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to I'm only gonna get 1 aggression cookie, maybe 3 at the most, but usually I get 1. So, you have to look at that. But I never buy cupcakes. A cupcake, I'm just saying from them. Very rarely do I buy a cupcake. It's like 2, 3 bites. I need the whole piece of cake. You know what I'm saying? So they
Yeah.
sell cupcakes, but that's not my thing. I'm
Right.
not buying the cupcakes.
Right.
And the cupcakes are almost the same price as the big piece of cake, but you're getting so much less, but it's cute.
Yeah.
And people want to do that. Why would I'm just gonna buy the whole cake. Like,
Yeah.
don't give me that.
And they might get that for like an event, right?
That's why people do it.
Yeah.
But when I look at the price of it, the cupcake is almost the same price as the cake. Just give me the whole piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it also depends. What are you doing? Who are you doing it for? I'm just doing it just to have snacks, right? If I was doing it for an event, then yes, I might get the cupcakes. But also, guess what? Instead of me getting those cupcakes, it's a place that's Black owned, that's right there in Morrisville, that's been there to cupcake people. And her cupcakes are double the size of Maxi B's. And the price is comparable. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, so when we join our business, where are we doing it at? Who's the customer? What are we doing it for? And then those things make a difference, And then because it's up here, and now both of them are woman owned, but this one is up here. And so I can't get to Maxi B's before I can get to the one in Mooresville.
Right. Which one is your favorite one?
For cakes, I'm still gonna go to Maxi B's. I
Also,
am.
convenience, you go to one in Morrisville.
Convenience, I'm gonna go to the one in Morrisville, but the one in Morrisville has an amazing salted caramel that is the bomb, okay, that I absolutely love. But it's just for even nostalgia and memory, and you know how things are tied to memory. So that's what we got our wedding cake from too. So it's like, hey, you want a treat today? And I only probably do it once a month, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll go and I'll get the 4 slices of cake, and that's a monthly thing. But it's like I'm still going to do that. And I've been looking for another place up here that I really would like as much, and I just haven't found another place because that German chocolate, again, you got the same idea, but the recipe is not the same everywhere. It's just not. And I had a terrible slice of hummingbird cake in Raleigh, and I was like, never again. Mm-mm. I don't even know why you call this hummingbird. I don't know. This is not hummingbird. This is somebody else kind of bird, but not hummingbird. So things are different depending on who's in the kitchen, right?
Right, right,
Mhm,
right. So we was talking about networking earlier, and
mhm.
I want to go back to that. What makes a person good at networking? What are like some to dos and don'ts when you
Oh,
with networking?
now that's a good one. You don't you don't stay too long. I think you know when to move out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, Find the person you want to talk to and make sure you definitely talk to that person before you leave. But I think sometimes you just need to listen. You need to observe and see. Some people get into really, really deep conversations and then they don't want to talk to you, even though they're at the networking thing. I think you can pay attention to who already knows each other. But my tip that I do, this is my patented thing, I always go and just stand by myself. That's the easiest thing to do. Somebody always comes up and talks to me.
Why do you think that is?
It could be the hair color when the hair is out. I'm always going to be colorful in general.
Yeah,
Depending on where I'm going, somebody might know me, somebody might not know me. But I think, when you see the commercial, most interesting man in the room, people want to be nosy and they want to find out what's going on.
yeah,
That's really a lot of what it is. And I think that for me, it is I like to look and pay attention if it's a place that I've never been before,
right.
or an event that I've never been to. Most of the time, if I'm going to something, I might know the hostess or the host or whatever, and I'll, speak to them or whatever. And then I'll just ask them also, well, who do you think I should meet? And that's another way to do it too, if you know who the host person is.
Yeah, that's one of
Um,
my favorite questions to ask.
because
Yeah,
you can turn me on to somebody that I didn't even know
never,
anything
never
about,
know.
and they might be just the most unassuming person in the room, and
Mhm.
it's like, "I want you to meet such and such." So I ask somebody or just be by yourself and allow people to just gravitate to you because it's something about you that they are drawn to,
Yeah,
and then
I've never
just do
heard
that.
nobody say that. Stand by yourself.
I do, I love it,
Yeah,
and I try to go to always the furthest table away from everything, unless I really wanna be super, super nosy, and then I'm, like, closer to the door. So it's either really close to the door so you can see everybody that comes in as soon as they come in,
yeah,
or as far back as possible. It's like when people come in, they see you, but you can still see everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is if I'm leaving an event and
Mhm,
there's people in there that I've connected with or
mhm,
know, letting them know like, hey, I'm headed out.
mhm,
Somebody that I'm blanking on the name. I didn't know she saw me in there
mhm.
because she was in the back. It was like 5. Hey, what's up?
Uh-huh,
But she was leaving and she's like, hey, just let you know, blah blah, and
uh-huh.
headed out. And I was like, oh, she really we
Was
kind of
trying to
clicked.
connect.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I found doing that, it's like a really good way to cement
I think that
relationships.
that can work
Yeah.
too. I think that that
Yeah.
can definitely work, but I think, just see oh, I think it can definitely work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's a bad answer in that. But I think there's a there's a bad way to do things as far as you do not need to pass your business card out to everybody. That's a fail. If you see somebody is actively in conversation, say excuse me, because that's a pet peeve of mine. That's the biggest thing is that I'm having a whole thought and then you come and you interrupt the thought and that bothers me. Even if it's in a networking thing, excuse me, and then let yourself into the conversation, or let them let you into the conversation. That's the biggest thing. So those 2 things are probably my pet peeves out of everything.
I definitely agree with that. And if you do interrupt someone, bring value,
Hopefully,
you know, because
yeah.
if at least if you bring value, then it's like, oh, okay, he or she interrupted me, but
Mhm.
it's cool. Like what they saying, I didn't know I need or whatever.
Well, you know what I've never seen anybody really do? I'm saying in real life. I've seen it on TV shows where so let's say in that situation right there. Now this would be different because drinks were not free at our thing. And if you'd have did this, everybody would have said yes. If you'd have walked up and you'd have been like, ladies, hey, did you want it? Did anybody need a drink? Everybody would say yes because they wanted you to pay for the drink, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But like let's say if you were at a place where the drinks were already free,
Yeah.
can I get anybody a drink? And then it's like, you didn't spend any money, but then they're gonna be like, yeah, go get me a drink. Well, can I get that I've seen on TV, but I've never seen anybody do it in real life. But only do it if you don't have to spend any money. Business tip. Because if you asked them like we were at the bar, oh, you'd have been out of a good
Oh
$100 real
yeah.
quick if you'd asked 5 women for
Oh
drinks. Because I
yeah.
mean, my drink was $12, and
Yeah.
we had a mocktail. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if you'd asked all 5 of them, oh, you'd have been in for a big.
Yeah. I was like, cool. It's just
Yeah.
one drink.
Yeah, it's just one drink, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, then I had another person that came up and they were like, they got 2 drinks and it was $48, but they had top shelf, everything.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and I mean, so don't go ask them for that if you have to pay for the drinks. But if the drinks are already provided in courtesy, then you're just helping and refilling and looking like the nice gentleman. And then that's an easy way to walk back into a conversation.
But I mean, yeah, it's somewhat of like a pickup line too. It's funny.
But it's not, but it
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you came up and I was in a conversation, there's 2, 3 of us, right? And you say, hey, can I get another drink for you guys? We take that. And I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I would love a water, right? Because that's probably what I'm gonna get, unless it's a juicy beverage. And then you come back with the water, and I'd be like, okay, thank you, sir. What is your name? I'm gonna ask that, right? But it's courtesy, right? So you already brought value by bringing a beverage, okay?
Mhm.
Even if you didn't pay for it. But I didn't have to leave my conversation to go get that beverage.
Right.
And that's also a way to see yourself out of a conversation. So you could do the opposite too. You know what? Would anybody like a drink? Okay, I'm gonna go get some drinks. And then when you come back, you bring the drinks and then you skedaddle.
Yeah.
You could do it either way. It can work both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, try that. Try that in real life. I've only seen it on TV though, but I would love to hear your experience if you try it in real life because I
Yeah.
think it'd be awesome.
That's funny.
Mhm.
So how did you get into what you're doing now?
I started teaching. My first client was A&T, and I started teaching social media before everybody was doing social media and didn't want to engage in social media because I don't know, they thought it was going to be a fad. I tried to tell them it wasn't. And so I started teaching from then. And then the teaching turned into when we started, our first company was LadyBizness. And then we started Give It to the People she basically started in the pandemic. But
Okay.
technically, we didn't legalize it until the year after the pandemic, so 2021. And our focus then was money and the
Hmm.
mental wealth. So it was like, well, what can we do together that is going to use less skill set, but we can make more? And so that's why with that, we focus on conferences because I could teach XYZ amount of classes, but I can also do one conference and it's equivalent to however many classes.
Right.
And so that's
It's a
why we
better.
went
It
that
goes
route.
back to what you was talking about earlier. It's like you're
Yeah.
getting more bang out of your time.
Ye So then we transitioned into the government contracting, which technically we've been doing government contracting because most of our contracts are state related, but moving into bigger contracts, and then that's where we're at now is doing more government contracting stuff. So we still will do our own events and do things with other people, but now it is what can I do for this city? What can I do for this economic development? What can I do for this county? And that's where, those things. And then there's other organizations who need the help because I think right now, and I don't think the trend is gonna go anywhere but down. People are gonna consistently need more help. You know what I mean? And so, and I said down. I mean, technically for that, I should have said up, but down in the sense of downsizing. They're gonna have smaller departments, and people are still gonna be expected to do the same level that they did when they had a department of 10, and now it's a department of 2. I've seen it happen over and over and over again over these last couple of years. I mean, you see how many people are expected to still perform, and you need to know 5 people's jobs. You don't have the bandwidth or the capacity, and you probably also don't have the desire to do what I do. You just want it done. And that makes the difference of the execution of things, you know. So like I have a meeting next week with some people, and I looked at the long list of the things that they want done and the time frame that they want it done in, and I'm just like, okay, so I already sent you the deadline. Okay. So you have the W-9 because I'm serious. I do not play. So when you say to me, that's my version of saying what's the budget. Like, I mean, I can say what's the budget, but when you are saying I'm going to engage you, I'm going to reply and it's going to be a W-9 in there because you're going to need to pay me. So that already sets the thing of you don't need to wait for my W-9. I'm going to send you and depending on what it is, let me send you the W-9 and the bio
Right.
and all the stuff that you need. But I'm going to send you the W-9 because the expectation is, oh, she's not playing. We're going to, yeah, go ahead and put that in your processing. Who does the processing? Because here's the W-9 because you're going to need to pay. And it's going to be over that $500-$600 threshold. It's not going to be that. So you need the W-9 because you're going to need to write that off for your taxes.
Right. Right.
So I send that W-9. As soon as you engage, here you go.
That was your first point of advice. Pay me.
Yeah. Here's the W-9.
Yeah.
And so when I send that, then it's like, oh, okay. And then they say, well, can we meet? We sure can. We sure can. Yeah. And I mean, and if the parameters of what you said change, then your price changes. You know,
Mhm.
and so if this was what you were originally trying to get, but now you want to add in a little razzle and a little dazzle, now your price goes up. You want to add in more time, more days, more responsibilities, then your price goes up.
Yeah, we
But
we
either
call
way,
that feature creep.
yeah,
Yeah,
either way,
yeah,
you have the W-9, and
yeah.
then I'll be going ahead and send that invoice over, and once that gets paid, then we'll move on to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do my work.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do,
yeah.
but just going ahead and press the pay button. Boop, boop, press it. 'Cause I love to see those notifications come up. I'm like, who paid me? What is going on?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah,
like my favorite thing is
yeah,
opening up, seeing a notification come through that somebody paid you. That is,
yeah. That deposit hit. Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's the most amazing thing ever. So yeah, I love those.
yeah.
I love those.
So you touched on departments are getting smaller. People are
Hmm.
expecting you to do more, right? How has AI changed how you done things and engaged with clients, if anything?
Oh, it's changed drastically. I just literally yesterday redid my whole curriculum. I took out some classes, and then every class that I'm going to teach going forward has an AI component to it.
Okay.
And that to me was I needed to have a differentiator from other people. You know what I mean? Um, I'm a how-to person. I want you to leave with everything that I say. All of our stuff is immediately actionable. This is not thought. This is not motivation to make you feel good and just making something. Oh, it's pretty. No, this is how you do this so that you can accomplish this task. Move on to the next thing.
Right.
So that's how I do stuff, and so that has been a major change because I've already been teaching the AI, but it was like let me think about this, like what is happening in real life is actually integrated into everything.
Hmm.
So if I can show you how you could do it in finance, I can show you that. If I can show you how you could do it in your HR stuff, I can show you that. And so what it's done is helped me to delineate the target client better for me personally, because then you need something different than they need, and it's similarities in that, but it's making it easier to customize things for people. So it speeds up the process.
Right.
So for me, that's probably what I like the best about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite AI tools to use?
I mean, I was a Chatty fan. Now I love Claude. I've been working with Manus.
What's
Um,
Manus?
Manus, you can build websites on it, but it kind of works similarly. It works kind of similarly to Claude too, but it makes it easy for you to build a site on it too, if
Mm,
you wanted to.
uh,
And so, I've built a couple of sites on there. Most of the stuff that I do though, when I'm building something is more of this one idea. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to run the whole business on it, but if this is this one event. So if you look at it from my perspective, if I'm doing the event for you,
like a landing page.
yes, because you understand how difficult it is, especially if you're working with city and county people to get them to update the website. It is a process that nobody wants to go through. If I just build it and it has the components that are in there, life is much easier. And then we don't have to go through the rigmarole, and it's crazy. And then, I mean, if you do something with cities and counties, you have to look at their brand guidelines. So it has to be the colors. You have to have the this and the that, and you can't use this logo, and you need to have this wording specifically. And certain organizations are exactly the same way too, but it makes it faster for me to be able to do that and customize it for you and your thing that you're doing, and it still look good, as opposed to we just gonna put a link up here on your website. Like, now you can have a whole totally built out site in a few minutes, as opposed to what it would have taken before. And it's not, they do care, but it's more so the speed of you being able to get everybody on the same page. Because if I have to send the stuff and then you got to get to the web developer person and then they got to update it and this and that, it just takes so much longer. So it is sped up processes is what I can definitely say for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my my favorite tool is called Opus.
Yeah, I use
Yeah,
Opus.
Opus. I love Opus. Saves
Yeah.
me so much time.
Yeah, I use Opus, for my videos, and I really like using it. And I've used a couple of other things that are similar to that, but Opus is definitely one of my favorites. And I mean, I guess I didn't segment out the AI based on what the use was. So if you're using it specifically for the podcast, then of course that makes perfectly good sense. But I don't think that people realize how many AI are really, truly, completely out there for all different kinds of things,
Yeah,
or that can do the same
I feel like
thing.
I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on what you want to use things for. I
Mm.
mean, because this AI that's inside of Canva, and I use Canva every day. So stuff that maybe it was already there and now they've added AI into it still makes it AI now.
Right.
So yeah, just depending on how you use it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I've even made a logo in ChatGPT. Well, the logo I redid for my podcast
Mhm.
made that in ChatGPT.
Okay. So the only thing with that is you cannot trademark that logo.
Oh man.
Absolutely not, because you're using open source stuff. Just like you cannot trademark a logo that's in Canva. You cannot trademark those. So you can make it and you can use it for just your regular use and stuff like that, but you cannot trademark those things. So you still would need a graphic designer to be able to trademark it because of their use and terms. So
Oh,
you can have something that looks nice and that you use.
okay.
You
Good to
cannot
know.
trademark those
Good
things
to
though.
know.
But see, that's the type of stuff that, you know, I mean, you would waste money trying to trademark it if that's what you were going to do.
Yeah.
So with something like that, trademark the name and then don't worry. I mean, I'm not saying don't worry about the logo, but the logo is not as important as you securing that name. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like we have 3 trademarks, definitely one for Give It to the People. Well, 2 for Give It to the People. And we have one for my other podcast, Real Ass Affirmations. And that's because I knew what I wanted to do with those things. But I did not have a trademark logo for each of them, but every one of them, the words are trademarked and the
Mhm.
uses for what we're going to use them for are already trademarked. So, protecting the brand does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Guess I had a graphic designer for my first logo, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you are using open source stuff, and you got to realize ChatGPT is pulling from everywhere and anything that's already been made, and you can't copyright any of that. So that's the issue that you run into
Mm.
with using a ChatGPT or using or using Canva or anything like that. Is it cannot be trademarked.
Well, now I know.
Yep, that's it, and that's why, I mean, that's part of the reason why we do the things with the membership. So, to be honest with you, like, the thing is listening to people and seeing what they want. So, we're gonna have a trademark class that's gonna be at our next summit, which is June 13th. So, we'll have a trademark class. We're gonna have a grants for business class. We're gonna have a class for our food businesses. I'm gonna do an AI class. We're gonna have a marketing class that's done. Clear Media Solutions is doing that. So the questions that you're asking, we then listen to what people say and then we develop something for that. So the summit that we're doing is called the All Access Triad Small Business Summit. It's June 13th. It is free for people to come. It is at Alamance Community College. It's on a Saturday. Okay, so all my people that work and you're like, oh, it's nothing ever for me because I'm at work. It's a Saturday. Now, if you work on Saturdays, I can't help you. You just take off of work. But it's from 9 until 3. And then this way you can come and you can get that dancing classes there because Carolina Small Business is going to be able to do that. So it is a day for you to come work on your business. This is one of those days and meet some new people. And again, it's totally completely free. So, you heard it here first. So come on out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I know we got to wrap up. I got to another meeting. I know
Yeah.
you got things to
Yeah.
do. Is there anything else you wanna share?
We have the business membership. So you can go to gitit.biz and you can register for businesses in North Carolina. You technically could be in another state. Our focus is just North Carolina. And that is for our entrepreneurs, our business owners, and our entrepreneur support organizations. So if you work for a company that supports businesses, you could also join. If you are a nonprofit that supports businesses, then you can join too. And I think a lot of times people like to separate out the nonprofits like they're not businesses, but they are.
They are.
So, it's made for all of you guys to be able to join. We put the events up there. We send out emails weekly with tips and things like stuff like you need to know. We send out a tip of the week now. We started changing up the way we do things. So there's like a tool of the week so that this way you can jump into some new stuff that you may not have known about. We try to put out a grant each week. So it's not my responsibility to do the grant for you. It's not my responsibility to tell you, to make you use the tool, but to provide the information so that this way it allows you to be able to build your business, like literally with the things that we're providing for you. And then we're going to it's going to be we have a thing that we're calling a hot entrepreneur summer. So summer is going to be a lot. Let me just say that. And I think we need something to uplift us as business owners because this has been another hard year, like just in general, you know what I mean? And when you keep seeing all of the things that keep being taken away, can somebody give us something,
Right.
So that's why we're here to give it to the people.
Perfect. You heard it. So thank y'all for joining. Again, it's Corey Stay Trapping, Chisa,
Yes.
Pennix-Brown.
Pennix, but it's okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
LadyBizness.
Yeah, there you go.
Trap Talks, where we discuss the intersection of culture and tech. Again, thanks for joining us. We out.